and this mind is that we forgive the Supreme Master. In our daily life, we are so busy, so occupied with the outside world that we forget why we are here. And by doing so, we give up ourselves to the three gunas, and we are influenced completely by them. So we act like puppets, directed by these three gunas. You know, tamas, rajas, and sattva. So how can we change this? The first thing is we have to change our thoughts. We have to make the first step and to say, yes, I want to change. And then to change. To transform this mind. When we say to ourselves, every thought that comes, the moment it comes, I will change it. We will manage it. Because the only thing that we have to know to do on the spiritual path is this, to change our mind, to transform our mind. This is what Guruji repeats satsang after satsang. But who is doing this? So, what does it mean? It means to be aware of our thoughts when she comes. But most of the time, we are so used to identify ourselves with this mind and with this body that we take every thought as ourselves. No. It's like everyone has a computer or a phone, a mobile phone, but you don't identify yourself with your computer or your laptop, no? And the mind is the same. It's a very powerful instrument that God has given to us. So, before the thought comes out, we have to be aware of it. And, you know, the thing is, when Pepe was with Guruji in India years ago, he was depressed. He was praying the deity, the saints, please change his mind. It is so negative. And Guruji told me, you know, Pepe, you are arrogant and this will stay as it is. Thank you. But you will be aware of it. And when you are conscious about it, then you don't need to express it. So this is what we have to do. This is our daily job, to observe ourselves. And that is what he told me. He said, you know, you are depressed, that's nice, it's good. Thank you. And he said, yes, because it means that you want to change. If you did not care, you will not be depressed. So if you want to change, you will change. And I told him, yeah, it's nice that you say it, and I believe it, but at the moment it's not the case. I see that's going worse and worse, more and more in the negativity. And why it is like this? It is just because we identify ourselves with this mind. And when we begin to be conscious, to be aware of the thoughts, then we see the negativity of the mind. As long as you identify yourself with the mind, you don't care, you just pour outside all what is coming in this mind. But the moment you analyze it, you observe it, you become aware of it, you say, oh my God, I'm so negative. And the next step is seeing all this negativity that you push it away. You say, no, that's not me. This is the mind. Me, I know, I am light, I am love. I am a part of the divine. I am this soul, eternal. So then, taking distance from this mind, you see the thought, you see the feeling like on the TV. And these thoughts don't hurt yourself anymore. So, we have to change this mind, because if we listen to it, we go in the game of the mind. We become the slave of this mind. You know, it's like when you see someone for the first time, you see this person and you think, she looks so strange, she talks so strange, she laughs so... You know this. The moment you see this thought, you can change it. You can say, no, it's not like this. This person is very nice. So we have to challenge the mind, not to continue to be the slave of this mind. And when we change the mind, we change completely our life. So it all depends of the moment when the thought is coming. Then we can change it. But most of the time we jump after this. We jump after the thought. Yeah? But if just at the beginning, if we change it, it will go away. But if we listen to it, it will come again. And, you know, a thought is like a seed. You know, if you plant a seed, it will grow. If you water it, it will grow. And a thought is the same. If you focus on the thought, it will grow. So you see, it's very important to see what kind of food we give also to our mind. If we give, it's like the body. If you want to be healthy, then don't eat junk food. And with the mind, it's the same. If you put negative things inside, all what you talk, what you hear, what you look at in internet, TV, media, and so on. Just open a newspaper, you will see it's only negative things inside. So the food that we give to our mind will reflect upon us. That's why we chant the divine name, because this vibration make the divine vibration who are inside of us vibrate and rise. So these four qualities of the mind, we listen to the mind. We enjoy the mind by talking. And then we suffer and we complain. So the best is not to enter into the game of the mind. The mind has been given to us for a good reason. And if we use the mind in the right way, it will be always constructive. So Guruji said the first thing, be positive. What does it mean? It means to replace the negative thought by positive thought. When you see a negative thought coming in this mind, you can replace it. You don't need to focus on it. You know, when we meditate or when we say japa, the mind is always running, like the clouds in the sky. But if you don't focus on it, the thought will go. And you can put yourself a positive thought or 3 positive thoughts, and this will completely change your mood. So, we need to let this divine love that is inside of us take control of us. As it is said, there is 2 wolves fighting inside of us. The mind and the heart. And the child was asking, but which one wins? And the grandfather said, well, the one you feed. So we have really to take care what we are feeding our mind with. You know this picture with the 3 little monkeys. The one who covers his ear, the other the mouth, and the other eyes. Well, nowadays there is a 4th one, the one who is looking to his iPhone. He don't hear, he don't see, he don't care. But you see, the 3 senses are very, the control of these senses are very important to control the mind. Because first we have to control the senses. Especially the tongue. The tongue is very labile, very quick to express a thought. It's easy to control a bone, but the tongue is not a bone. And sometimes you see people who have a direct connection from the brain to the tongue. It is thought and already expressed. So we get influenced with what we see, with what we hear, what we say. So, and these 3 monkeys show us, you should not see, you should not hear, and you should not speak evil. But that is what we do most of the time. Because it creates sensation inside. You know what I hear about the wife of the President of America, Trump? You see, just when I say this, all attention is there. This is the mind. The mind like gossip. So, it's just by observing ourselves that we can control this mind. And most of the time when we analyze ourselves, then we begin to judge, because the judgment is a big quality of the mind. No. We should not judge ourselves. We should love ourselves, said Goji. Yeah. It doesn't mean to pamper ourselves, but just to love, to focus on our good quality, because everyone has good qualities. And when we focus on our good qualities, these qualities will strengthen us. But if we focus on our bad qualities, then we will go in our weakness. So Krishna said, if the mind dwells on a certain object on the outside, one becomes similar to that. It doesn't mean, well, if you focus on a pumpkin, you will not become a pumpkin, but the qualities of the pumpkin will rise inside of you. So we have to learn to focus our mind on a special way. We have to train our mind to think positively and to be aware of at each moment. To be aware of it, just. Not to judge, just to be aware, just to see it. Because the moment we see it, we become conscious of it. And that's enough. We don't need to judge and to say, oh, that's bad. No. Just to analyze. So, we are gifted with a great gift. This is a gift of knowledge. And we have to use it in a proper way. You know, we know that when we put something negative inside of us, the result will not be positive. So the best is to put positive things inside. That's why we read the story of the saints. That's why we chant bhajans, to put all these good vibrations inside of us. And the change starts now. Often we think, oh, later I will do this, later. But there is no later. When we are aware of ourselves, when we are aware of how we are looking at things, that's important. To go inside. Because, you know, the outsides, they're always the outside. Once there was a Prabhu who was was telling to Goji, you know, I could do better things. He was just printing DVDs and CDs for the shop. And Goji told him, well, you know, for me it's the same. That you take a broom and clean the floor or do speeches or satsang, it's the same. Everything happens inside of us. And this is where we have the big victory. It's when you begin to control this mind. You see a negative thought and you change it. And you change your mood completely. And, you know, to develop this unconditional love is not about to say to somebody, I love you. No. Because the next day it will change. It's to develop this relationship with the divine and to say to him, I love you. And to enter into it and to grow in this love. Because in the sky of our heart, the sun is always shining. And I had this experience with Guruji. I wanted also once to experience this unconditional love. So I asked him, when we were in India, in Puri, I heard that Ramakrishna had asked his guru this question, oh, I would like to experience unconditional love. So I went to Guruji and told him, I would like to experience this unconditional love. And he said, well, it's easy. You take someone and you love him, whatever he says, whatever he does, whatever he talk to you. Okay, well, that was not very helpful, I thought. And I could only to think to love him. Okay, so we went back to Germany, to the ashram, and one day in the bungalow, in the living room, he began to say things to me that I never did, to criticize me completely. And, well, I didn't answer back. I take it as it was coming. And, but when he was finished, I went in my room and I asked the Divine Mother why he's doing this. why is the one you love telling such things to you? And the answer was very quick, and it was, oh, because you asked for it. And then I saw me in Puri asking for this unconditional love. And this helped me very much, because I understood what is this unconditional love. It's really like this, that you give love. You know, love is not a relationship. Love is a state where you give love without waiting for anything back. You just give. Whatever he's doing. If Guruji hides behind the door with a big knife, and when Pepe entered the bungalow, he put it on my neck, say, Pepe, I kill you. And you say, oh, very nice, this knife. You see, this helped me a lot, because the role of the Guru is always to give a form to you, to take the negativity out of you, to, like the, the sculptor who hurt the stone. It's the same. The Guru destroy the ego. And the ego don't like it. But yeah, then you don't take yourself so serious. Because, beside to control our mind, the rest is all about grace. That's why on the spiritual path, we can relax. Because he is doing everything. You know this story about the grace of God? In heaven there was an entrance exam. And a man died and he went to heaven. Saint Peter meets him at the gates and say, okay, here it's how it works. You need 100 points to go into heaven. And you tell me all the good things that you did on earth, and I will give you points. And when you reach 100 points, you get inside. Okay, said the man. So I was married with the same woman 50 years, and never once I cheated on her, even in my heart. That's wonderful, said Saint Peter. Okay, that's worth 3 points. Huh? 3 points? Okay, tell more. Well, I attended church all my life and supported its ministry with my service. It's terrific, said St. Peter. Okay, that's certainly worth 1 point. 1 point. Okay, well, I started also to help a soup kitchen in my city for the homeless veterans, and so that's good, said St. Peter. 2 points. Gottes will. So the man said, at this rate, the only way to go to heaven is by the grace of God. Bingo, 100 points, says St. Peter. It's really like this. It's through the grace of God that we move on. And that's why we have to let this mind dwell on the divine. To let the mind become positive. So, let our minds be submerged and transformed with this divine name, this divine vibration. And this real love awake inside of us. How do we know about when God is speaking to us? You have heard Guruji talk about intuition. And this is the voice of the divine. This intuition is the voice of the self. It's not the voice of the mind. And he explained also, when can we hear this intuition? Just when we take decision. Every day we take decision. We have choices to do. And you know, the voice of the mind is always flattering ourselves. Very easy to recognize. The voice of the mind tells you, oh, you are the best. Whatever you do, it's super. And the intuition, don't flatter yourself. It's very direct, very sharp, and this is the first thought that you get when you ask a question to yourself. After comes the mind, who make only you more confused. So, and most of the time we follow this mind. But we have really to listen to this inner voice. And this inner voice is not strong. It's very subtle, very fine, very, subtle. That's why you can only hear it in silence. It's not when you talk and talk and talk. No. That's why we have to listen to silence ourselves, to talk less. The more we listen to this inner voice, the more we will be directed in the right way, into the way of our heart. And you see, as a Swami, I realize myself also that Pepe is completely useless. But the more I surrender to the spiritual master, to the Sadguru, the more he can work through me. And at the end of the day, I am surprised about how the day was going. And then I realized, wow, super, thank you, God. So daily we can watch ourselves. Daily we can analyze ourselves without judging. And all this depends only on us. Because every day we are faced about problems, and we can build an automatism that when we face a problem, we call out the Lord and say, please help. He just wait patiently about this. And Goji told me, you know, people come to me and tell all their problems. But God will be so happy to help them. But they don't want to ask God for help. They try to solve their problem themselves. So let's start to hear this inner voice and to trust it, to have faith in it, to trust God. But to trust God, we have to know Him. That's why we need to build this relationship with Him and to hear this inner voice. Jai Gurudev. We need to build this relationship with Him and to hear this inner voice. Jai Gurudev.
I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see from up here.